So what I've done here on the high ARP is that I've actually taken out the sub oscillator and completely switched it off. On the low ARP, I've got that in, and I'm going for a much thicker sound. And what I've got going on here is a very, very simple arpeggio with just one octave, and the rate is at 16th notes on both. So again, I could actually do some really interesting, variations here. So what we'll do is we'll play together both of them, and then we'll hear the low one and we'll hear the high one. So there's the high one. And there's the low one. And again, another thing to note, on the high ARP, I've actually got a lot more noise, okay? So I've added in more noise because then I can add in possibly some reverb, and I don't want that to happen on the lower ARP because I don't want to muddy up the sound by sending reverb with low end together, and it just kind of completely turns your low end and your track to a complete blurry mud pit basically. So quite a useful little tactic there. Now, one of the things I can do here is, again, I can go into the controls and I can decide how this is going to work in terms of adding a little bit of tension, shall we say, through the frequency cut off on the filter. And I've got a lovely little envelope going on here, which makes it quite plucky. And again, this is just a basic bass preset that I have adapted from what is within Analog Lab. So it's great to get a jumping off point. One of the things that is like a big theme for me at the minute is that I don't want to be starting from a completely blank screen. Everyone goes through that, right? You get that paralysis is the words I was looking for, where you just stare at a blank screen, you're not even sure where to start. Analog Lab 5 kind of ensures that you don't need to do that. It's got stuff that's really, really exciting right from the off, which is super cool. So I could actually start playing around with this on the high ARP, and then on the lower I could just keep it bubbling, and the two will work together quite nicely. And if I just bring the kick back in, and I could completely uniquely move and I'm not touching the low end at all, which is great. So it gives me that solid foundation, as you can hear. And again, the great thing about a melodic techno track like this is you could build up and drop to just something like this, and it sounds massive, and it's only a couple of layers and a kick. You really, once you really get into this as a genre and as an aesthetic for production, it really is a less is more situation. Very, very much so.